Cool. We should be live, man. We should be live over here on Bleacher Report, man. And it is our reaction to the Lions' picks on day 2 of the NFL draft, man. Now, I'm jumping in now, but with the aggression that Brad Holmes has had, I'm not confident that we're done. I have no idea. Honestly, we should probably be done based on the draft picks that we have left. And the Lions did utilize both of their third-round picks next year, which one of them are going to be from the Aaron Glenn, losing Aaron Glenn this offseason, so that's why they added one. They also had another third, which was their third, so they ended up giving both of those away. They'll keep their first, second. I know they have an extra late-round pick next year as well. So, the future picks, I can understand them kind of dipping in there. They did the same thing last year for Giovanni Manu. Everybody's going to have to question about who they just selected, though, in Isaac Teslaa. So, Charles, I don't know if you saw my initial reaction to this. I immediately thought of Charles. I was like, bro, Charles is going to be hyped right now that we just ended up pulling this off. Let's get to him in a second, but we're going to hit both of these. So let's go through both of these. We do have to talk about the trade, what the Lions end up having to give up to make this happen. Again, at 2/3, I'm not super mad at giving up 2/3. They're hopefully going to be towards the back end anyway. Who's standing behind me? You need to stop, King. I almost look behind me. But we are at Radio Row right now, so that's why this is all kind of popping off. We'll see. Hopefully this is the last pick of the day. If it's not, then my bad. But that being said, we also acquired, and we acquired this extra 6th-round pick, or 2 extra 6th-round picks, I think. So we're going to have a lot of picks towards the back end. My guess is that they're going to try to package – hey, King, you need to stop. My guess is they're going to try to package those together and at least slide up a little bit into the 5th round. Maybe not towards, something legitimately high, but towards the 5th, something along those lines. Maybe they can try to push it up a little bit. That wouldn't surprise me because you don't need all the back-end picks. That said, though, let me get to the teams. My bad, y'all. I want to get the exact picks that we have left. And if you hear background noise, that's just because we're at Radio Row. The draft is happening right now. There's going to be background noise, but it should be pretty good. All right, here's what the Lions have left. So the Lions have a 6th, 2 6th, and 3 7th. All right, they have a top 6th-round pick, right? The 6th pick in the 6th round. So you package those two together, you could get into the 5th round. You throw some 7ths in there, you could get up into the 5th round pretty aggressively. I just don't know if they're going to want to utilize or extinguish more future picks once they've done this. So edge rusher is going to be, of course, the buzz of this. And I'm going to be honest, I'm surprised. I thought that they were going to try to save 102 for that pick. So when we traded up, my assumption was we're going up to get one right now. I didn't have an issue with going guard at 60 for just talking positions, but this is how Brad Holmes tells us he drafts. We can't have it both ways is what I'm trying to say. We can't say on one hand, be best player available, and then on the flip side, be mad when they don't take the position that we want them to take. We have to be open to these things because that's how Brad Holmes is going to address it. And ultimately, if we look back a couple of years from now, no one's going to care that you took an edge in the 6th round and not the 3rd, and you drafted a receiver if Isaac Teslaa is fantastic. Nobody's going to care. Now, I do think, and I can make this case to the positional factor, I think what matters is understanding the board. And I think if you just look at the depth of each position, you say, okay, where is the strength of this board? Now, cornerback to me is a strength, but we're not interested in the cornerback market, so that's not a thing. But I would also say the other strength of this draft is edge, right? We're so deep as edge rushers. The problem with that, in there being edge rushers, is how far certain guys are actually going to fall. I think they're going to start going relatively soon, so we'll see if the Lions can end up getting back up. Don't know if that's going to happen. But at the same time, there's going to be guys back there that they can take some swings on if they do want to just kind of chill out where they're at. So I am a little bit surprised by that. There's no doubt. And we could trade up again. It's Brad Holmes. You might throw a 2027 pick. You're like, here you go. I'm going up again. But let's talk about the players. So from a positional perspective, offensive line in the interior was soft this year. Not soft as in the players are soft. It's soft as in the depth just isn't there. Right? We had looked at we had talked about the interior offensive line, and we did our rankings on the interior offensive line. At least I did my top 20 something. It's not a strong group. It's not a strong group this year. So it was one of those things where, hey, if you wait on interior offensive line, you're just not going to walk away with an interior offensive lineman. It's kind of that simple, right? If you don't take one, you're not going to get one. So at least a starting level one, very likely. It's going to be hard to find one if you wait a little bit. So taking Tate Ratledge when they did made sense based on the fact that interior offensive line was thin. You jump a few spots, you guarantee it. 130 is fine because you're guaranteeing you get your guy. And they're Tate Ratledge guys, clearly. It's interesting for me because when I was going through Tate Ratledge, my main knocks, and I said this during the live thing, is he reminded me of Mahogany in the sense that my biggest issue is body control. I thought he was below average in terms of body control, which was a big issue. I always look at body control as a bigger issue than certain teams do. Some teams don't feel that it's as big of an issue. Now, it's not like I've watched every single Tate Ratledge game, but I've went through about 5 of his games to kind of put together my little report for Tate Ratledge and kind of throw it together. And for me, man, It was the body control that was the issue, but the other things connected. He was my last interior offensive lineman that was a true guard, not a tackle push. Like I liked you guys know I took Charles Grant, but he could be viewed as a tackle. He might play guard, but he could be viewed as a tackle. A lot of teams could. So guys that were true guards, I had him above Jonas Savania, for example, and he went close to the top of the second round. So from taking the position that you need, it makes sense that the Lions got aggressive to just go ensure that they could get that guy. And for me, stylistically, obviously fits. He's a little bit on the taller side, which the Lions have. That's Graham Glasgow, 6'6", 308 pounds. He's a very similar mold to Graham Glasgow, athletically speaking. You have a plus athlete, reactive athleticism is good there, and then he's a power player. And this is the problem that you run into, and I'm just going to lay it out right now. The balance of a reactive athlete and a power player did not exist at guard as the board fell. I'm going to give you an example. You go to Miles Frazier. Immediately, I like him. I'm limited in what I can do schematically. So immediately I'm saying, what can I ask him to do? How versatile can I get? That's the first question that comes up. I like him. That's the first question. Dylan Fairchild, what's the question? He doesn't have the play strength right now for a guard. He's developmental. Can he build onto his frame? That's super thin. So you immediately get to those questions. And the reason you get to those questions is because a lot of these guys don't have those two things that package together. So while the body control for me was lower, we've seen the Lions do this. They did with Mahogany, and it worked for Mahogany. We're going to get to Teslaa in a second, so bear with me. We're gonna get to that. But they did it Mahogany, feel good about it. I think his hands were average for me, but there's a quickness. He can get up, he can pull. Sometimes for me, he just kind of plays ahead of his body weight, kind of plays on top of his toes a little bit. That leads to balance issues, which again is why for me, body control is kind of the knock that I have. But you put him up to the second level, you got some sustainability. Critical factors go. I said this yesterday, and it was in a different context. Critical factors get drafted, and if you look at him, guys, and we're going to talk about Teslaa. He has that ability because of his movement, because of his strength through his latch, because of his core strength to latch guys and run. Think about what Mahogany was. Mahogany was a big run blocker. He was a puller. He was athletic. He had a ton of play strength. That's what Mahogany's game was, right? Like that was his thing. And the question for me was body control. So I think it's a lot of similarities. Every team has a type. That's the Lions type. And at this point, I'm not going to bet against the Lions type because they proved to be right. Simple as that. I was a little bit lower on Ratledge as a whole, but again, that's assuming that Wyatt Millam can go to guard, and they would trust that. And I think Ratledge is the very clear picture is here: run, block, flexibility. You can run him as a puller, you can run him gap, you can run him zone, right? You can run wide zone with him. You can get you can run dual scheme with his build, with his power, with his ruggedness. You can do all of these things. The finishing mentality, which the Lions love, the toughness there. You can do those things with pieces like this. It's hard to find guys that can. And we can go through the examples of guys that are still available or other offensive line options. A lot of them didn't have it as a true guard. They were more tackle flexion. Now, over to Isaac Teslaa. And Isaac Teslaa is it's more going to – the conversation is not going to be about the player to me. It's going to be about the pick and where they pick versus who they pick versus not going a certain position. Isaac Teslaa to me is a no-brainer. Not a no-brainer. Isaac Teslaa is someone that grew me very late. We have a draft show. I ended up putting Isaac Teslaa within a third round a couple of weeks ago. I was called crazy that he was, that's way too high. He's a day 3 pick, that kind of thing. He's not the best receiver there, whatever. That's what I was called for that. And I bought in. I've shown you all the clips. Y'all seen the clips. I bought into Isaac Teslaa early, and it's because of the athleticism. So he tests out like a freak. I mean, if you look at Isaac Teslaa, he's a freak tester athletically, 4'3", 40-inch vertical. He's massive, 6'3". So again, traits go. Traits don't last. That's the thing we have to understand is traits don't last. Okay, so that's the first element of this we have to keep in mind. You have that, but what I always like with Teslaa, and I'm going to give you all a little lore to this whole thing. Okay, Isaac Teslaa for me, interestingly enough, we're coming here, and I'm trying to get through my receivers, trying to add some final notes. I ended up watching Isaac Teslaa even more in the airport, right? I was sitting in the airport. I was waiting. As the last player I actually got to was Isaac Teslaa. I was waiting for Bass to kind of come pick me up so we could take off. And I'm sitting there watching Isaac Teslaa, and the thing that will stand out about you is obviously he's pretty dominant in terms of separation. He just doesn't always have the production that matches it, and I think some of that's the offense. They've had other guys kind of roll. But what I always think about for the Lions is the style. I think about the style. I think about guys that work in the slot. Think about what the Lions have had. Everybody looks to Josh Reynolds. They say, we need an X, right? Remember when that used to be a conversation, you need an X receiver. You got to have this big guy that's long and that kind of thing. Well, he's all that. He has the attributes of an X receiver. The difference is what works for the Lions is not your prototypical boundary receiver. Put him on the sideline, let him go win one-on-one. The Lions don't value that. The Lions value guys that can separate with agility. The Lions value separationers. If you guys have to catch up, value live hands, but they value guys that can work from the slot. that can align at different positions, high football intelligence. They have to have a feel for the game. They have to have a feel for getting open. And ultimately, I think when you tie those two things together, it's immediately going to put the Lions in a position where they're comparing receivers, they're looking at the board, and they're saying, okay, where's the upside here? Where's the positional fit here? So I'm going to give you an example. Jalen Royals, right? He's my top receiver left when we took our guy. I like Jalen Royals a lot. Jalen Royals, to me, showed that he could win at all three levels. Isaac Teslaa didn't have to show that it's something. There wasn't like, oh, I need to see the Senior Bowl if he can win all three levels. Can he open up the diverse route tree? That wasn't a thing. Isaac Teslaa has already shown he can win everywhere. Teslaa runs the seam well, he's vertical, the speed, all those things. And Isaac Teslaa's great when a play breaks down. I mean, there was a play I was watching in the airport. I think it was against like Florida, and he breaks Slade open. He picks like a 60-yard touchdown, just great. And after the catch, just tracking the ball down the field. So he's got that. But the uniqueness is what you're chasing here, to me. You're chasing an agile, big receiver, someone that can align in the slot, that's comfy in the slot, that likes a two-way go. And if you think about the Lions offense, while there's inside and outside guys, you can still be an outside alignment and still be considered a slot receiver based on how many yards they're off the end of the line of scrimmage. And that's what the Lions will value here. They'll value that flexibility. They'll value the fact that they run a lot of condensed splits, meaning that their receivers aren't as wide. They're a lot tighter to the line of scrimmage, right? It gives you more room to work. Think about when you run a speed out route, right? You don't run a speed out route on the sideline. You run it from a condensed split. That way you can create that opening. That's where he works because he worked in the slot. So I just look at it as the fit. It's always styles make fights, right? And the fit makes sense. But I really look at it as, I don't want to say upside because I think that's kind of just basic. Like, oh, yeah, he's got upside because he's big and fast. There's a lot of guys that are big and fast. But there's not a lot of guys that's biggest skill set to me is agility. And it's the shake. It's the lower body. Think about this. Let me just lay it out like this. I'm talking too much. You drafted a 6'3" receiver, right? That runs a 4.43. That his strength is separating level 1 and level 2. That's his game. His game is separating underneath. His game isn't I'm going by somebody vertical. His game is not high catch point, throw it up, let him go get it. His game is separating underneath. His game is separating middle of the field. And if we're looking at it from a needs perspective and what the Lions had and what do they need in the draft, if you're just looking at it from a needs perspective, that's the only way this pick, to me, gets heavily scrutinized. It's not because of the player. And again, nobody's going to care if we look back and this works out. Now, as for the edge rusher position, and I don't hate the trade. Like, here's my take on it. The problem I don't like about it is there's not another pick to grab maybe that position later until you wait until day 3, unless you can get back up, unless you use futures, or you just put everything together and throw it up, which they could. The goal for this draft is simple. Walk away with 3 to 4 guys that you love. Like, I don't think the goal is to add 10 players. The goal is to add guys that you love, and I think that's what's okay. So I'm cool with being aggressive. Giving up both thirds doesn't hurt. You have an extra day 3 pick next year. You still have your first and second, and you had the extra third because of the Glenn thing. I don't hate that. It's fine. We can give him an extra third. We came in this year, missing a 4th-round pick. I don't have any issues with the draft capital they actually gave up for either of them, because if they don't get their guy and these guys don't make it, like, you have to be special at something to make this team at this point. That just is what it is. So I don't think I have a great case for edge, except for the fact that they're not still going, and also the case that it's so deep that maybe you're confident that ultimately some of these guys are just going to push down into day 3, and you can move up to the 5th round, and you can grab somebody. If Josiah Stewart wanted to chill there, I'd take him. I'm not confident they will go up aggressively at this point, but I'm also really trying my best to just separate position from player, because we can't have it both ways as fans. We can't say on one hand, oh, they're so great because they take best player available, and then turn around and be like, yeah, but guess what? They took the wrong position. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Like, that's what the Lions want to stay away from. So I'm perfectly fine with that. Need the end is crazy. It's a need to an extent. And again, I've always kind of been on this. Number one, the Lions have flexibility to take an edge rusher that isn't size, weight, speed. Let's just go to that real quick. I don't think we're bringing back Za'Darius. I think they'd like to, but I don't think they're going to. They said they can't afford him. I'm going to take them at their word. They can't afford him. He's going to have to come back on a super cheap deal that he's worth more than. I don't think he's coming back. I don't think this has anything to do with Za'Darius. I think it's simple as this. They took 3 guys they really like, and they felt the value made sense. They probably felt like Teslaa was falling, because if you think about it, they jumped 32 spots. Guys, they went from 102 to 70. You think that was one of those things where they're sitting there like, oh, let's be a little aggressive and get him? They jumped 32 spots. I'm pretty sure they identified him and said, he's in round 3. Let's just go take the swing if we can do it. That's what that pick is. That's not a position thing. That's just, we love him. Let's go get him. You took 32 spots, bro. You gave up your farm to go get this guy. That's why you did that. Giving him a next third, it could hurt. Then you have to use your future thirds. Like, it's just, but the point is, we're in a spot now. We have to draft guys that are going to make the team. That's the goal. So it's fine. And to me, the edge rusher position, to kind of add to that as well, is, yes, it's very deep. The Lions don't need to chase height, weight, speed. If they do that, they're going to miss the pick. They're going to miss the pick. It's deep enough. They can take any style. Everybody always says edge. Davenport, if healthy, is our starter. He's healthy. If he's our start, if he's healthy, he's a starter. And that's regardless of what the line's in the draft. He was a starter if healthy. We know Hutch is the starter opposite. They've now added Tyleek, which gives them a lean Levi who will play defensive end because of the flexibility. He can play defensive end now. The Lions can come in, play Tyleek as a 3 technique to begin the season, which is what he did at Ohio State, even though he's built like a nose tackle. They can ride DJ Reader at nose tackle, Aiden Hutchinson on the outside, depending if he's ready, but he's going to be ready. Aiden Hutchinson on the outside. Flip side is going to be Levi or Davenport and Josh Paschal. They don't view edge as this need where they have no options. Like, let's think about this. They drafted Josh Paschal in the second. They love Marcus Davenport. Drafted Levi in the second, re-signed him. It's not the same as we view it as fans. And again, the reason I bring this up, why it's so important to what y'all are saying, is that because of that size, they don't need to chase a certain style. This is why Josiah Stewart now is possible. This is why Q Robinson now is possible, because you can get a kind of versatile piece that can plug in. He could be day 3. He could go to the spot that we can get him. They clearly believe that they can still do that. What did he tell us yesterday? He said, we have a plan. We have a plan, and the plan is deep enough. That's my guess. Q Robinson. They have David Walker out of Central Arkansas. These guys, Fidel Diggs, these guys can actually fit. These guys can actually fit now because you have size. If you didn't have size there, we need that. But because we have the foundation building blocks, you can now go smaller. You can go athletic. You can go pure pass rusher. But let me ask y'all this. Let's talk value for a second. Everybody wants to talk value. Let's talk value. Let's talk position value. What's more valuable, a 3rd down rusher or a 3-down receiver? You tell me. Because I'm looking at it like this. Tim Patrick's a free agent after this year. They brought him back on a 1-year deal. And year after year after year, we were asking, like, oh, who's our receiver? Who's our receiver? We lose Josh Browns. Who's our receiver? Tim Patrick's coming back. We assume he's going to have the same season. Tim Patrick missed back-to-back seasons. What if he's injured? Who's your guy? So all I'm saying is long-term, because, again, the Lions aren't drafting for this year. The Lions aren't drafting for this year. They're drafting for the investment. You draft guys as an investment. I think that's what Brad does well, and that's what I'm always trying to remind myself, because I get caught in the same thing. The Lions aren't drafting guys, especially at this stage, for, hey, guess what, man? Year 1, you got to cook. No. He's drafting these guys for year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and hopefully an extension at some point. That's why you end up drafting these players. He's drafting them as an investment, not as a year 1 rental. That's not why you draft these players. Okay, you don't draft guys as a rental. So ultimately, man, you invest in the right piece, and getting a 3rd down rusher isn't more value than a potential 3-down starter at receiver. Right? It's not. It's not more valuable than that. It's not in today's NFL. And also the price tag we know is going insane on these guys. So you want a receiver that's adequate, you're probably paying a ton of money, right? So again, from even the needs, I can even make the case on the other side. Whether you want to or not, it's fine. I think that if there is a position, think about this. I'm just looking at the screen. Dylan Fairchild just got drafted in the 3rd round. This guy can't live at guard right now. He needs to put on 20 pounds. He can't play with his frame at guard. He can't start at guard with his frame. So when you go back to Tate Ratledge, it's like, oh, why'd you take him? It's like, yeah, because he has the frame, the ability, athleticism to at least be versatile. We know that he can truly play guard. You don't have that here. And here's the thing that I always want to credit Brad Holmes with, which, again, shouldn't be overlooked. Brad Holmes, what he's always done well, and this has always been a takeaway for me, Brad Holmes does a really good job of identifying what the board's strengths and weaknesses are. And he's done this for years, right? He's done this year after year after year, where he can say, okay, the strength is here, I'm getting it and getting out. Defensive tackle, he went heavy, he went lean, he went Levi. He got his guys, he got out. He does a really good job of understanding the value of the board and not playing the board, right? So you look at the receiver position. Let's look at it like this. If you want to stay with Isaac Teslaa, we can go to Ratledge too. Ratledge is physical. My thing is Ratledge, it's just scheme versatility. It's scheme versatility. He's above in play strength. He's above average in play strength, and he's above average in athleticism. Those two traits don't come together easily, and he has both those things. And he's a true guard. I'm not going to pull this up because it's making a glitch. Here's the other aspect to this too. Right? So the receivers that were available when we picked, Jalen Royals was my top one. You were trying to figure out what's the 3-level ability with him. But if you threw him to the side for a second, you think about who else was there for the receiver position. We took our receiver. It was a pretty messy group of receivers, right? This is not a great receiver class. So if you identify someone that you love, you get in and you get out, and that's exactly what the Lions did here. Again, this is an investment draft. The 2/3 to me, it's steep, but it's not at the same time because of this. If the guy's a starter, it's not steep. Ultimately, picks, you know what they always say about draft picks? They have a lot of value until you put a name to it. You ever heard that? It's like the old school saying for general managers is they have a lot. That's what I was told by a scout. When I used to do the scouting work, is they used to tell me, hey, draft picks got a lot of value until you stick a name to it. Until you put a name by that guy's pick, all of a sudden that value isn't. It's that player. That's who the value is. So they sound great until you see it, and it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter when we took guys, right? And 2/3 isn't bad. You got a first, second, you got an extra day 3 pick next year. It's okay. That's okay. That's not that steep. If you walk away with 3 starters this year on a roster like this, with where you're picking in the draft, I mean, what are we doing? Are we gonna question Brad for that? Like, what are we doing? So, and Graham as backup center. See, that's the big key. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a huge reason why guard was, to me, if you want to call it a need, because we need Graham to get to backup center because we didn't have a backup center last year. Especially when the injury took place, we legitimately did not have a backup center last year. It was a guy that we kind of pushed through. I thought the preseason that was like, all right, I can't even think of the dude's name right now. No disrespect to him, but we didn't have a backup center last year. You got to have a backup center, dude. And now Graham can actually play backup center. And, you don't have to start him right away. Graham can outcompete with Mahogany. At least you get the flexibility back. Guard, if there was a need, was the biggest need. Like, to me, guard was the biggest need if there was a need. Just walk away with guys that you love, man. Just walk with guys that you love. Brad has said this. We can't have it both ways. Here's the thing about Teslaa. Now, if we want to focus on Teslaa is not going to have the same reception, understandably so, immediately, because, one, he wasn't that high on mock draft simulators, just to throw that out there. That's why when I took him a couple weeks ago, everybody cooked me, and they were like, yeah, that's reach. It's because he wasn't ranked high on mock draft big boards. And I can tell you why in a very, very quickly here. Let me just pull it up for you. I'm going to go to my statistics here. Now, you guys want to know why people thought this was like no one considered him? Is this right? I mean, you got a round 3 receiver. Why is he considered a round 3 receiver? Play it out right about here. Give me 1 second. It's loading slow, but it's loading. It's loading though. Hold up. Kevin Winston Jr. Shout out Kevin Winston Jr. Yeah, this is why. Last season he had 540 yards. Season before he had 350. That's why he was viewed like that. All right. The guy had 500 yards receiving. 500 yards. That's not going to be high on a simulator. He's not productive. That's okay though, because what the Lions are looking for is traits. They're looking for skill set. It's hard to, if you value receiver based on yards, first off, I don't even know what we're talking about, just to be honest with you. They're going after the skill set. They're not going after the production, which is why it's an investment, right? If they said we needed a year 1 starter receiver, 1 you would have done earlier, or 2 you would have said, let's go take a polished guy. Let's go take an old player that's been a 5-year player. Let's plug that dude in and let's just get that immediate production, and we'll see what the upside turns into. Who knows, but we're going to get it. To me, that's not what the Lions are doing here, right? That's not what the Lions are doing here. They're not going that direction. They're going with the investment with this kind of draft pick. They're going after a guy that's not incredibly productive, and they're going after the skill set. Look, Arkansas's offense was a disaster to watch, by the way. Some of those plays are just broken plays that he broke off. He was not consistently productive. The thing is with that, too, receiving skill set is everything, and a guy that's going to separate from the slot, that's a big man. Those guys are special. And you think about like a Cooper Kupp, his height, that kind of thing. It's immediately what comes to mind here. Something about that. Plus, the Lions have an affinity for guys that are agile. Just to throw that out there, Tyleik Williams, guys that are agile, they go after. So just throw that out there as well. And Glasgow may not be, done. I don't know. And that's okay. I hope he's not done. Look, Glasgow was signed to be a starter, but there's an out within his contract after a year, which they absolutely could tap into, which would make a ton of sense if they tapped into, hey, there's an out in his contract, let's get out of this deal. But there's also the fact that we need the flexibility back, and we have to have our O-line intact. It's just as simple as that. Like, the O-line does need to be intact. And again, I don't think that means that it's a need draft pick. I think that it means you're playing the board, right? I think it means Jack Sawyer. Like, there's a lot of guys. I don't think Sawyer will get to our pick. We're gonna have to jump. I think if we sit, we're not gonna land a Jack Sawyer type. But I think we could sit back. I truly believe that we could make a slight jump and get a Q Robinson, get a David Walker. They could do something like that towards the back end, which is a pass rush specialist, kind of developmental. They could do something like that, and maybe they do try to get aggressive again and jump back in, right? Maybe they try to do something like that. We don't have a round 4 pick as of now, but ultimately, man, this is it's an investment for them, and that's all this is. They're going to take best player available, so let's not tie it to needs. The reason that guard I don't consider as much of a need pick is because it is a need, but it was more so about the fact of where guard was, right? I said, and I made this clear when I took William from William and Mary when I took the tackle. Teams may view him as a tackle. We pick in the 6th round. We have 6'6" in the 6th round. He's probably visualized as a tackle for most teams, right? Wyatt Millam is a tall tackle that would be going to guard, right? So there's still conversation about him going there. That was a full projection. I thought he'd be a guard. He may still be. That was a full projection though. From that, I have Tate Ratledge above Jonah Sabania because mainly the reason, if you guys want to know, I remember putting them next to each other. Jonah went top of round 2 is because to me Jonah was a finisher. I didn't feel, excuse me, Jonah wasn't a finisher. Jonah wasn't tough. He didn't show that on film. I didn't see that. I thought he was athletic, but it's like I don't see the dog in him. Tate Ratledge is the complete opposite. So we'll throw that in there. Now, how does this work year one? We'll see. He'll probably rotate with Tim Patrick. Eventually, he could be the replacement for Tim Patrick here, which makes a ton of sense. And again, it's not a need pick. That's why you're just kind of drafting players that you like. We may trade up into the 4th. If we do, I'm going to be back actually home tomorrow. So we'll be reacting to that when that's the case. We'll see if we get back into this round. I don't think we're going to get about 20 picks left. I'm going to doubt they're going to get this high again. I would love to take Josiah Stewart. Maybe they feel like a guy like that could fall. But ultimately, man, this is what the Lions do, bro. This is what the Lions do, and it's worked, so I'm rolling with it. And again, the Lions have dudes at edge. They have dudes that they like at edge. They really like what they have at edge. They're going to touch it again. They're going to go and address it at some point here. But I think forcing it is the problem. Forcing the idea that it has to be at some spot is the problem. So I'm okay with what they did there. And again, Isaac Teslaa is probably the most fascinating prospect I watch. Probably the most fascinating prospect because, like I said, if you haven't seen Isaac Teslaa play at all, watch like 3 minutes, and don't watch Isaac Teslaa for 3 minutes of highlights. Watch 3 minutes of a game film. Go do this. Go look Arkansas versus and pull up an offensive game they play against. You pull that up and you just watch it for 3 minutes. You're gonna be like, yeah, he gets open all the time. That's Isaac Teslaa. He just separates, man. He plays in the slot for them heavy amount of the time. So just look at that, man. Look at guys that have those skill sets to get open. Guys need to get open. You think about what the Lions do with the receivers. You get football intelligence, slot versatility. Guys that are going to shake and get open is who they're after, right? Then he just has all the athletic traits that tap on top of it, just not the production. That is what it is. Reminds me of Puka. I don't know what Puka's numbers were. I think he was like overly productive in college, but he was a 5th-round pick. So, there you go. Ultimately, man, I don't think the question, again, like I said, is going to be about player. It's going to be about who they picked, what position they picked, and what they didn't pick here. And for me, I don't care, to be honest. Like, yeah, I thought they'd go edge. I was guessing they would take Josiah, but that was more of a guess than anything. I'm just guessing because I think they'll do that based on the board. But you take guys that you really like, so I don't have any issue with it. I don't think he's in the 6th. They'd have to move up, I think. But there's a lot of edge rushers still on the board, and it's deep enough. Like, let me give you this little nugget on the way out. It's just my opinion, but I'll give you it. Oluwafemi Oladejo was my ranked number 20 edge rusher. He was my edge 20. Okay, so that's how strong this edge class is. Now, that obviously he already went, so whoever took him didn't feel that way. But I think you look at it from that perspective of, it's that deep. You can have 20 guys above him. That's how deep this class is, right? So they can slide up and go get one at some point. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. I just think, and here's what I'll leave y'all on. Don't make you're gonna do what you want to do, but don't make your feeling of this pick based on position. If you're doing that, you're setting yourself up for failure because Brad has told you he's not going to do that. He's told you he's not going to do that. And if that's what you're looking for, you're going to be disappointed a lot going forward. You're going to be disappointed a lot. He wants guys that are going to stick so he can adjust. Look, I mean, if your receiver sticks, we can make a move. We can not pay this receiver. We have this guy. Now we move forward. That's all I'm saying. Focus on the player. If you don't like the player, that's one thing. I like the players we got a lot. I understand the Ratledge one. He was my highest guard. I'm not going to sit here and lie. We'll see. Maybe I'll change my mind even more when I watch him. But at the same time, true guard, he was the top guard for me left. As a true guard, I just thought some guys could kick around. But it makes a ton of sense. That's a Lion-style pick. So, yeah, grade the player. React to the player, not the position. React to the position is not the way to go about these things. If you're reacting to position, I don't even know why you shouldn't. It just doesn't make any sense. You don't react to the position. Anybody can draft the position. Brad's told you that. I can line up positions, and you're going to hate the draft because I'm going to miss all the picks. Draft the player, not the position. So, yeah, over here on Bleacher Report, man, I appreciate everybody joining. My reaction to this, if we trade back in, we may be able to get back on here. Yeah, I mean, like, hopefully that made sense. I mean, yeah, hopefully that made sense, man. I appreciate you joining, though, and we will stay tuned for more news, man. Tomorrow's day 3. I don't think anything's going to happen today, but if it does, maybe I'll be able to get back on. Maybe not. I don't know, but stay tuned because content will be over there on Dose of Dion 2.0, man. Appreciate y'all over here on Bleacher Report, man. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of day 2. Now, YouTube, as we wrap this thing up, man, I shout out to everybody that's in the chat, man. Y'all showing a ton of love, man. I appreciate it. They gave up a lot. They gave up a lot, but like I said, it's not a lot if it works. It's not a lot if it works. And again, it's not like it's really not, dude. You had an extra third, so they probably felt like that was something that they could just play around with. I thought they were going to use an extra third this year because they had it in their back pocket. I thought they'd throw it into some trade this year because they had it in their pocket because it's like, oh, we got an extra one. Let's just throw it somewhere. I thought they'd use it. They did. So now you have no third round picks, but it's not that big of a deal. You have an extra day 3 pick already. You got 5 picks coming up. You got 2 6th round picks, 2 7th round picks. So ultimately, but I'm not really that worried about the draft capital that they end up having to give up. I don't think that's a big deal. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Tess was asked how he would build the best receiver. He'd Megatron 5 times. There you go. That's fantastic, dude. That's fantastic. Dude's a baller, bro. Dude's a baller. And you know what I'm gonna do? No, I appreciate y'all joining, man. I'm glad y'all are tuning in. We'll have the breakdown videos like we had yesterday, so definitely tune into those as well. You know, we did the breakdown yesterday on Tate Williams. I won't have those videos drop today because I don't have them stored, but we'll have them eventually for those guys. We'll have those videos drop out. Before we get out of here, I want to do this, okay? I want to show some love here. I want to show some love here because, like I said, this is not something that's like new, right? The love for Isaac Teslaa is not new. I think there's a lot of people that have love for Isaac Teslaa. So I want to showcase you. How many people are with you in that giant room? There's probably about 200 people in here. Probably like somewhere around 200, I would assume. Probably somewhere around 200 people. Which makes sense. I mean, it's all media. You know, there's probably about 200 people in here. It's popping though, man. It's pretty quiet, but everybody's kind of just doing their own shows. So that's why it's like that. I want to show you guys one thing before we get out. So hang with me. Because what's going to happen as well is I'm going to end up, we're driving to the airport tonight. So content-wise, it might be a little bit difficult to pop anything out tonight. But I'll definitely have it tomorrow. I'm flying back tomorrow. That way I can do a show with you guys tomorrow for day 3. You know we're ready for day 3. Let me get, we did a mock draft, and I want to show you guys our pick here. Ranked 11th all-time receivers and included relative athletic score. That's insane. How many people? Yeah, I'm sure we will love these picks. Usual, Brad knows best. He just taking his guys, bro. I love it because he's never broke character. It's like you break character and you're in trouble, right? You don't break character. Right at the podium, so we done. Okay, good look. Good luck, man. What did day 2 do? That was exciting. I love Brad, bro. Seeing them jump around is awesome. I mean, how would you rather? You rather him sit there and just take the position, and then what? We may hit a couple of them because it works for the spot, and then we draft him for. Think about what Brad said, bro. Listen to what he says. We can expect these things. He told us, hey, if I draft, a guy because it's a need now, what happens next year when it's not a need? Or what happens if the guy doesn't hit, then that needs is still a need, right? So ultimately, not saying that he didn't have an edge there that he liked, but if that's his dude, you go up and take your guy. I wanted to, yeah, right here it is. Okay, I think this is the video, and I want to show you all this. Man. Anyway, grade the draft, man. Get some grades in the chat. I want to see how y'all are feeling about the draft, man. Let's get some grades going in there. How's everybody feeling so far? About what's happened? The Packers pick is in. We're getting that reaction behind me. I don't think I'm gonna be able to find it, which is frustrating. Oh, here it is. Here it is. A-, B, 3/3, 3 touchdowns. Mark picks. We can't trade for Myles Garrett. No, you can't trade for Myles. We can't afford him. It's the same thing with Za'Darius. We can't afford Za'Darius. Like the idea of he told us we can't afford him. Guys, we're rolling as much of that $40 million as they possibly can. So that's just where we're at with it. We're trying to roll all that money over. Okay, we can't afford the guy. We couldn't afford Myles Garrett. Like financially, you couldn't make that happen. You had no flexibility. You couldn't do that. Let me see. Yeah. Man, I cannot find it, bro. That's frustrating. All right, I'll find it. I'll show y'all later, bro. I can't find it, dog. This is D draft. Ratledge only to keep it being an F. That's crazy. Okay, here we go. 4 weeks. Here we go. I found it now. Here we go. Here's my clip. All right, I want to show you all this because this is my pre-selection reaction, or not reaction, but this is what I ended up doing in a mock draft earlier. So I wanted to show you all this. React to this, man. Y'all can check this out. This was me on our mock draft. Now it's not for the Lions, but it's for a team.
And I only get one more pick. Can you really click on trade? I just want to see like what their actual picks are left. Like,
look at this. This is what I ended up doing a couple weeks ago.
What I'm doing is not crazy.
And
they got some ammunition.
He's talented as
hell. You know, to be weak.
Check this out.
But we're gonna jump ahead of it. So I do want to go receiver. I want to get someone with Brian Thomas that kind of offsets the skill set a little bit. It could be a little bit of a swing. We'll see. I'm gonna take Isaac Teslaa out of Arkansas.
Wow.
Yeah, this is definitely a swing, right? I mean, obviously
it's a swing, man.
Post draft helped him a lot. Hopefully, playing in the slot like he did. But I want a little bit of size, man. I want a vertical threat. I want a little looseness, and I feel like Teslaa brings some of that. This is like might take a minute. But they added De'Ami Brown this offseason. They added Gabe Davis, so we can allow it to take a minute. And eventually, that'll be the two that roll together.
I like when Dose reaches for picks, man. That's my guy right there. That's my guy. Every time I see him reach for a pick, I'm like, yeah, that's Dose right there. Yeah, that's.
See, bro, that's all I'm saying, and that's on Roundtable Sports, man. We're here with Roundtable Sports for the draft this year, so make sure you go check out that YouTube channel. I know we've been streaming the first 2 days, so show them some love, man. We're trying to get to 2K on X, so if you got X, man, just follow Roundtable Sports. I'm working with them all year long. I obviously didn't pick it for the Lions, but it's one of those things where it's like you could see the talent. It's noticeable. It's there. And obviously the Lions also saw some talent as well. I'm not acting like I saw it or something. I was like, oh, yeah, that was my top receiver. What I am saying is like you can buy into the athletic. You can buy into the talent. You can buy into the movement. And that's what they did here. So I'm in it there, man. I appreciate y'all joining. And stay tuned for more. But it sounds like we're done for today at Brad Holmes Speaking to the Media. Check out the Brad Holmes thing, man. Check it out if you can. Check it out. Have a great night, y'all. And I'll see y'all for day 3.